My name is Shabnam, and I'm going to be your host for the next 2 days. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure you will agree with me when I say we are living in times of great change. The old order is changing, yielding place to new. The pace of change is accelerating. The competition for talent is fierce. Automation is replacing human effort. And in fact, talent today does not mean the same thing that it meant 10 years ago. In these changing times, how can organizations get ready for a future that very few of us can fathom and decode? How are our talent needs going to change in the future? How do we attract, retain, and motivate human resources that we are going to need in the days to come? Well, these are but a few questions that are just waiting to be answered. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not the time to sit back and relax. To be prepared for the future, we must first understand it. And this is precisely what we shall endeavor to do in these 2 days. Well, it's our privilege and our good fortune that we have in our midst dignitaries and stalwarts from all walks of the industry whose experience, exposure, and expertise in this area shall not only help us prepare for the future, but will also help us get up for the change that's going to soon hit us full throttle. Ladies and gentlemen, they say that dance is the language of the soul. And everything in this universe has a rhythm. Allow me to begin the day's proceedings on a soulful, rhythmic note. May I invite Ms. Pujita Namburi and Anusha Namburi, two very acclaimed dancers of Hyderabad, to present the Invocation Dance. I would also like to say that both Ms. Pujita and Anusha are the disciples of Padma Shri Dr. Ananda Shankar Jagannath. May we have Pujita and Anusha on the stage, please.
शुक्लांबरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् अनेकदं तं भक्तानां एकदन्तमुपास्महे एकदन्तम् उपास्महे Gama pa, takati, pani sa मातरम् वन्दे त्वं भूदेवीं भरतमातरम् जयतु जयतु पदयुगलं निरन्तरम् वन्दे त्वं भूदेवीं भरतमातरम् जयतु जयतु पदयुगलं निरन्तरम् वन्दे त्वं भूदेवीं भरतमातरम् जयतु जयतु पदयुगलं निरन्तरम्
Thank you, Pooja and Anusha. That was indeed beautiful and breathtaking. Ladies and gentlemen, small information. Please keep posting about this event on social media. Don't forget to hashtag us. The hashtag details are right in front of you on a banner on the stage. Allow me now to proceed with the day's proceedings.
Narayana, Narayana. Narayana, Narayana. Narayana, Narayana. Narayana, Narayana.
Excuse me, gentlemen. Are you sure you're at the right place? I mean, the fancy dress competition is at the other end of the building.
My God, young lady, looks like you haven't recognized me. My name is Real Muni. I'm the Earth's first journalist on this earth. I'm a traveling musician. I'm a storyteller. And you know what? I don't need visa to travel the entire universe. I have come down to this earth. I have come down to this earth to do a survey of the future of work and the future of workforce. And why not? Up there, we are also responsible for building a talent pipeline, right? Narayana, Narayana.
Seriously, this doesn't seem a part of my script. Okay, freeze. Ladies and gentlemen, the character of Narayan Muni is fictitious and is being used for purely entertainment purposes. Any resemblance to any real person or character is purely coincidental. We do not wish to hurt the sentiments of any person, religion, or community. Free. Okay, Mr. Narayan Muni, I believe you are at the right place now. And if this is the purpose of your visit, you've come to the right destination. My name is Shabnam, and I'm the host of this event. And for your information, today we have organized a conference on the topic I'm sure is going to interest you, on talent development for the future of work and the workforce of future. So be with me for the day. We have a host of wonderful speakers lined up, and I'm sure you're going to go much enlightened.
Narayana, Narayana. I would love to be part of this wonderful conference, but I believe you started a bit early. Did I miss something?
No, we started on time. I think you were a tad late, but yes, you missed a wonderful Bharatanatyam performance by Miss Anusha and Miss Pujita. But trust me, you've not missed much. We have, as I told you, there is no dearth of talent on our Mother Earth, and we have a wonderful acclaimed sand artist, Mr. Jagan Mohan, who is going to unravel and reveal the theme of the conference in just a short while from now.
Well, Shabnamji, Bharatanatyam is one of the favorite dance performances. While I missed wonderful performance, I must tell you, this is what we keep doing the entire day up there. Keep watching Apsaras dancing, and that's why we need to come down to this beautiful earth to do a survey of work. This is the kind of work that we would love to do, the future of work and the future of workforce. But yes, I'm all set. I'm very excited to witness the sand art performance by Mr. Jagan Mohan, please. Narayana, Narayana.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, without much ado, let me invite Mr. Jagan Mohan to display his talent on the stage.
కథ రాస్తున్నాడు.
Gardner on this.
wonderful. I think all of us are speechless by the boundless display of talent. Thank you for this wonderful display. Thank you for unveiling your talent and also unveiling the theme of the conference. I don't know where Narayal Muni has vanished. I wish you could see the beautiful talent that we have here on the earth. Ladies and gentlemen, I now move on to the next part of the conference, the day's proceedings. I'll just wait for the stage to set up. Well, now is the time when the dignitaries come up on the stage to decorate it and also to grace the occasion. May I invite Dr. Veermani, President Emeritus and past National President ISTD, who is also a beacon light and a pillar of strength and support for ISTD, to kindly grace the stage. Thank you, sir. I request Dr. Gangadharan, past ISTD National President and advisor to ISTD National Council, to kindly come up on the stage.
Good seat for Narayal Muni. Good seat for Narayal Muni.
May I request Dr. Kiran Mai, who is gracing the conference chair, to kindly come up on the stage. Dr. Murli Padmanabhan, Chapter Chairperson, ISTD Hyderabad. May I request you, sir, to join the dignitaries here on the stage. Dr. Karthikeyan, a dynamic leader and National President ISTD. Sir, please join us on the stage.
Can you repeat it? I'll permanently pattern for that.
Mr. S.V. Nathan, Partner and Chief Talent Officer, Deloitte India, who is also the keynote speaker of today's conference, will please join us on the stage. May I invite Ms. Poonam Jindal, Secretary, Hyderabad Chapter, to please grace the stage. I request Dr. Murli Padmanabhan, Chapter Chairperson ISTD Hyderabad, to kindly present the welcome address of today's conference.
Good morning, everybody. It is indeed my pleasure and honor to welcome you all for the 48th National Convention of the ISTD. Dr. Karthikeyan and dignitaries on the stage. I really would like to thank Dr. Karthikeyan for giving us this opportunity. I remember having this conversation with him in Chennai, and he said, yes, Hyderabad has been a significant chapter in the ISTD's history, so we would love to host the convention. It was a big responsibility, but I think we worked as a team and we put up whatever we could, and we have got a distinguished panel of speakers, so I'm sure we will have a lot of learnings about the theme of the conference. When we talk about future, typically there are different reactions people have. Some approach it with apprehension, some are very hopeful, some are very enthused. So there are different reactions to future. I hope the speakers who are going to actually present on the topic will touch upon some of these aspects of human response to future. We always associate work with human beings. That's what we normally do. I think future will also have machines co-working and co-creating work. So it's going to be very interesting. I would not take much time in standing in between you and the speakers. But again, warm welcome to Hyderabad. I'm sure I have all the NC members who have come here and make good use of your visit to Hyderabad. Taste the Hyderabad biryani. I think all of you really would love that. So welcome once again, and thank you for being here.
Thank you, sir. Well, without much ado, may I request all the dignitaries to kindly formally start the day's proceedings by lighting the lamp.
Yes.
Thank you, dignitaries. May I now invite Dr. Kiran Mai, Vice President and Global Head, HR in Venue Business Solutions, who is also gracing the conference chair today, to kindly address the audience.
Good morning. I expected the energy and passion to be much higher, Good morning, Hyderabad. Well, this is ISTD conference where we're talking about the future of work and the way it started. Did you all enjoy it? We started differently. And those of you who joined us yesterday at Deloitte University with the pre-conference workshops, can you raise your hands and tell us how many of you were there? Awesome. We disrupted already in terms of how conferences are held, because we started off with a pre-conference workshop on gamification and design thinking, and it was stupendous given your participation and the feedback we've received. And another thing which we've done from a disruption perspective is everything is complementary, right? So did you enjoy it so far? Are you looking forward to a wonderful next 2 days, today and tomorrow? All right, a couple of things before we kick off and hand over to Nathan, our keynote speaker for today. Future of work. It's become a buzzword today, and all over the globe you see a lot of conferences and a lot of people talking. How many of you are aware? I mean, I wasn't. I did a little research, and that's how I learned this. So I'm happy to share this with you. Linda Grattan from PwC, or representing PwC, she's from the London Business School, is the first person in 2009 who started a forum called Future of Work Consortium. That's how all this talk and thought process on future of work has begun. Now, there have been multiple studies from then on, be it McKinsey, be it all the big fours, as we say, consulting organizations. Everyone has come up with studies and reports and research findings on what the future of work is going to be. What's a future of worker? What is a future of workplace? What would be a future worker be? What is a workplace composition? And so on and so forth. It's very intriguing, interesting, challenging, whatnot. There were 6 things based on various reports which emerged as impacting what we refer as the future of work. The first one, which all of us are experiencing currently, is globalization. Yes? All of us today understand the term globalization because we are living amidst globalization. So, which also meant from a future of work and worker and workplace, it's a huge widening of talent pool. People are not competing and jostling for jobs within their environment or ecosystem. It's much larger. It's across the globe. The second important thing which is impacting future of work is technology. We've already witnessed through the beautiful sand artist the way he depicted the evolution and talked about how the future of work, the landscape is shifting and changing. Technology is a huge disruptor again. So how does technology bring in or impact changes? Clearly the medium skilled jobs are the ones which are getting impacted. The high skilled and low skilled continue to be up there and there is no threat or risk. So what are the areas where we will continue to see, even with all the technology disruptions which will be alive? Clearly complex problem solving, where it calls for creativity, intuition and so on, or persuasion. It's still not to be taken over by machines. Similarly, sensing we talk about, that is situational sensing. Even today, with all the advances in technology, situational sensing can only be done by humans. That intelligence is not going to be surpassed by machine intelligence, not yet. The other one which is causing a huge disruption is longevity. What does that mean? Life expectancy has increased. So no longer are we talking, while we still continue to, majority of the organizations talk about 60 years as the retirement or superannuation, things are rapidly changing because people are no longer going to exit from this earth by, let's say, 65 or 70 or whatever. People are going to live 100 years and longer. What happens to their productivity? What happens after the retirement? What do they do? So how does the landscape of work and workforce and everything change because of this longevity? The fourth dimension or disruptor is multi-stage life. What does multi-stage life mean? Earlier, it was very predictable, like the introductions. Each one of us meets someone just by saying, oh, I'm in college or studying this. Immediately, you can guess the person's age, right? Or we will immediately have a recall and say, or someone says, I'm currently doing this. Immediately, you know, you'll have a sense of what's the age of the individual. Slowly, that's blurring because people can be a student even when they're 80. Yesterday, we had some of the NC members who joined us from ISTD, and wow, where is the gentleman, the 80-year-old octogenarian? Can we have your show of hand, please? I saw him somewhere. Okay, we had him at Deloitte University, and he made a statement saying, I want to be a student for life. And Raji was so pleased, all of us, it's such an inspiration. And I think that's exactly what we're talking about, the continuity of learning for life. And the fifth disruptor is the changing attitudes to work life. It's more of a large societal trend where caustic cycles are being replaced by positive cycles. There are new partnership models. What do I mean by that? Earlier, just as our sound artist has displayed, we talked about a caregiver and a breadwinner model. So the spouse, one of the partners used to be home, caregiver, taking care of all the dependents, children and elderly folks at home, whereas another spouse would go out to work. Today, already that's disrupted. You find dual careers and shared parenting happening right in front of our eyes. How is that going to change? We see some shifts there. There is dual careers and no parenthood. In some of the countries, they're already witnessing, and that's a huge disruptor too in terms of what happens in the society, what happens in terms of work and workplace and so on. The sixth one, which we're referring to as a disruptor, is a focus on complete asset class. This is so important for all of us representing organizations and corporates because we only look at certain asset class, the tangible and the intangible when we look at it. What is the tangible? We look at a bottom line or top line and so on. And from an employee perspective, it's the savings, the property he or she is able to gain, and the pension after retirement, right? What is intangible? Intangible is the vitality because there is an afterlife. There is a clear 2 to 3 decades of life post-retirement. So how does this individual continue to be healthy? The vitality, the energy has to be kept up post-retirement, the so-called retirement, which is blurring again in many organizations. We don't have a retirement age in some of the new age industries. As long as a person is able to contribute value, he or she can continue to be on the payroll and continue to be in the workforce. So there are systems which are shifting and changing as we speak. So vitality, productivity, and transformation are the key pillars. With that, I have another startling discovery to share with all of you. PwC did a research, and what they came out with, by 2030, they say there is a possibility that we will all witness 4 different kinds of world. So they're not sure because these are all based on assumptions. So there are 4 types of worlds which we can witness and see. The first world is called the blue world. What does blue world mean? Where it's corporate is the king. So it's the employer who will decide what skills he or she needs. Technology is a huge lever. Robots, bots, you name it, all of them are deployed. Automation, machine intelligence, artificial, whatever you talk about, machine learning, everything is in place. And you bring in people as you need. So there's a gig economy, crowdsourcing, you name it, you just bring in those. So that's a blue world where corporate is the king. Organization is the king. There is a red world possibility. So what happens in red world? Speed and innovation is the mantra. Where you find new products, nimble, adaptive talent, that's the key. The green world, the third world we are referring to is green world, where it's corporate social responsibility, environment consciousness which rules it. Because there is so much of degradation happening around in the environment. Green world will only be focusing, or majority in the green world will be focusing on environment, and society and minimal impact on environment is what we look for. The fourth world, which they talk about, is yellow world. What does yellow world mean? Again, humanist. Human being is the center. Humanists are valued, and social responsibility and fairness is the key. You will see a blossoming and blooming of, we've seen the Invocation Dance, we've seen the sand artists, so all these creative people, again, the guild economies, the artisans, they're all flourish. So this is, now we are talking about work. The world can go in any which direction depending on what headwinds and changes are dynamically impacting. So with this, I just want to talk about a few things to wrap up. The key learning for all of us as we kickstart this conference today is lifelong learning seems to be upskilling, reskilling seems to be the only way we survive and be part of this world's bundle of skills we should have, not just one skill. And how do we transfer these skills, adapt, and nimble-footed move into the spaces we have to. And let's remember that it requires a mindset shift. It requires a different organizational setup. It requires a different work and activity allocation. It requires a different workforce composition. And of course, it requires the C-suite, the top layer of the organization, and HR to understand that this is real and they need to shift it. A couple of things with all this, what I have learned, I know I was overwhelmed, and I'm sure you are too, in terms of what else is going to be part of this world. Before I really conclude in terms of the learning, I want to share with you on this ISTD 48th National Convention. The theme, it's unfolded. I just want to share with you how many registrations we had, what's the composition of the participants we have out here. We had 400 plus registrations. In fact, we had to close it because we said we will not be able to take care of so many, and hence we said 400 plus, and we said that's it. And we had to pull it off a few days before the conference. And what's the composition like? We have folks coming in from education, we have from public sector organizations, we have from pharma, we have from information technology, manufacturing, banking institutions, and training consultants. So it's a huge spread across different walks of life and what people can bring in terms of flavor through participation as well as speakership. We have 100 from educational institutions because these are our future workers and they are contributing. It's important for us to invite, and being ISTD, we bank so much on educational institutions and they are our pillars. So 100 from educational institutions. Organizations like BVRIT, Dr. Srinivas, wherever you are, show of hand please, I think he's outside. BVRIT, VJIM, Poonam is right here on stage. She's the secretary but also represents VJIM, Vignan Jyoti. David Memorial, Sushant, can you show? Yeah, David Memorial, then we have these are all our sponsors also incidentally. TIS, Symbiosis, IBS, CRM, CBIT and so on are the other colleges from where we have representation. Then we have 30 plus freelancers or private consultants who are part of this conference. We have 100 ISTD members from various chapters across the country. Can we put our hands together? ISTD, this is ISTD NatCon, and we're so glad that so many of us, thank you Dr. Karthikeyan and Dr. Murali, you have pulled this together for us. 70 plus from IT pharma companies. And among them, I have to mention my own company. I represent Invenio Business Solutions. We are one of the gold sponsors. Tech Mahindra, a platinum sponsor. We're all enjoying the beautiful hospitality Tech Mahindra has given us, this wonderful auditorium. Deloitte, I mean, it'll be awkward or not fair if I don't mention Deloitte. Nathan is right here, but Rajiv, who is right here. Rajiv, can you please? He's conducted such an effort and the meticulous planning. Everything, he's the man behind the scenes in terms of getting our AV and everything from a video. Everything runs on time because of Rajiv. And he's delivered 2 beautiful pre-conference workshops for us, which is, as you all know, design thinking as well as gamification. Thank you, Rajiv. Then we also have Moschip as another sponsor. You will see the speaker tomorrow. And 50 plus from PSUs. NMDC, one of the Navratnas, as you know, and you will hear from the speakers, and you'll also see a video later, has been one of our great supporters. And also, NMDC is right here in Hyderabad, so we're very proud that NMDC really stood by us and supported us. IOC, Indian Oil Corporation, NTPC, Union Bank, Power Grid Corporation, and so on. So you can see that we have touched every single sector of the industry because it impacts everyone when we're talking about future of work. So with this, once again, let's not wait for future of work and something to change, and let's not sit back and wait and watch. We are here to deliberate, we are here to learn, we are here to share our thought processes, interact, but be ready, because you have to plan for tomorrow, but it is today. That's all from me. Signing off once again, but this is ISTD NatCon. Can we have a huge round of applause? Thank you.
Thank you, madam. Yes, this is not a time to sit back and relax, but it's time to be future ready. And thank you for taking us into the future, taking a leap into the future and making us peep into the future as well. Thank you, madam. May I invite Dr. Professor Virmani to kindly present the theme remark of today's conference.
Good morning to all of you. Our National President, Dr. Karthikeyan, our Chief Guest and Speaker, Mr. Nathan. He is not new to our chapter. He was chapter chairman for 2 years, and I still remember under your chairmanship, we had a very, very active chapter and number of functions. Thank you for it, accepting our invitation. Mr. Murli, who is brain behind it, the whole thing, and of course, Poonam, she was the one, any problem about the convention, Poonam was there to solve it. Thank you, Poonam, and of course, Kiranmay and Dr. Gangadharan were always there for the chapter. Now, the theme, talent development for the future work and the workforce of the future. I was asked to prepare a theme paper. I had a good fortune of preparing theme papers for last 3 or 4 conventions. I'm very proud that the first convention in Hyderabad 77, since then, all the 5 conventions I have been part of that, and I'm proud to be part of all the conventions in Hyderabad. First, and this may be my last convention here, and I'm honored for it. Now, coming to the topic, I think Dr. Kiranmay mentioned that technology has played a major role. And I was reading an article, an economist, a very famous journal, about the impact of artificial intelligence now and in future on the workforce. Now, they mentioned, the article mentioned, that the artificial intelligence will gradually take over all the activities of the life. And second is the robotics coming in. Now, the robotics also will play a major role. The surgeons, for example, robotics will do more accurate surgeries. Or the article said that the robotics will help the housewives to do all the cooking. They can roam around outside, do shopping, and then instruct the robot that I want this, and when they reach house, it will be ready. Now, it may not happen in our lifetime, but that is the future which is likely to take place. Another thing, I had attended a seminar on 3D printing. Now, I thought printing means, in a press we print these papers and all. But what the 3D printing, what they said was that it is a technique whereby one layer over the other you can do very quickly. I was told that in future a full-fledged 3 or 4 bedroom house will be made in 2 days through the 3D printing technology. So therefore, all these technologies are coming in. And the danger, I predict, may not be in our lifetime, in future, that everything technology will take over, will become redundant. You want anything, technology is there. And the article in Economist said, some predict that after few thousand years, maybe million years, like dinosaurs disappeared, will become so lazy, not working, that gradually our life, though longevity was talked, it could shorten. Or long life doing nothing, and human race can disappear like dinosaurs disappear. Or some people may even migrate to Mars. They invited some names from all over the world who want to settle down in Mars. And one lady from India has volunteered. She said she'd rather prefer to go to Mars and die there, live there. So therefore, the entire technology is going to change. Now this has some challenge for all of us. One is that the leadership style may have to change. Because once people become independent and all that, now leaders will have to develop a long-term vision which will be quite different than what it is today, keeping in mind the technological changes which is coming in. Now, in other words, it will not be in organization. When we studied management, it was a linear thinking, hierarchical. Now it is horizontal. You cannot take a linear view of any problem. So therefore, we have to train people for multidisciplines. That is very, very crucial, especially for the training professionals. Now, then we have to develop core competencies in multi-skilling, not in one skill, because the technology changes so fast that we become totally redundant. These robotics and artificial intelligence will take over. So how to manufacture better robotics will be one of the role of training professional and training people, which means that we have to upgrade our technology continuously. Otherwise, we'll become obsolete. Now, we will have to, in that case, relook at the organization structure. The hierarchical structure may not work, as I had mentioned earlier. And lastly, something new is emerging, that is the IT industry. New economy, what we call. Now, in the IT industry, right now, we depend quite a bit on the word coming from United States, from Europe, from England, etc., various countries of Europe. Now, I think that the European countries may develop themselves these through technology, because now they find that in India it is more economic. So they may develop, and redundancy in IT sector already started. In Hyderabad, they retrenched about 900 people last month. So therefore, how do we handle with the technology coming, both in production sector and IT sector, redundancy is going to be a big problem. Now, how do we then use the manpower? How do we continuously develop these manpower for the new technology is going to be the major challenge. So therefore, to sum up, we require organizational introspection and openness to change. That's very important for training professional, all of us. Then to do all this requires management to engage in non-linear thinking and adopt systematic perspective of organization as well as the future workforce. Because most business education and training programs and business experiences have emphasized on linear and sometimes short-term perspective, we will have to in future take a long-term perspective rather than short-term. Indian management is capable of absorbing all these principles, maybe alien currently, but we can absorb it. But we will have to develop a positive performance culture, and all such principles have to be modified to suit Indian conditions. Why I'm emphasizing is I have written a book on Indian management based on research of about 100 organizations in the country, that Indian style of management is more familial, I have termed it in my book, that an employee wants to be given a feeling that he is part of a family, then commitment is higher than in America, where I have worked, where buyer and seller relationship, they sell their time, we buy their time. Here, that style will not function. So how do we change style, develop Indian style of management, more paternalistic, familial, which will increase commitment? That is going to be the challenge. Therefore, the successful Indian organization and the workforce and the trainers of 21st century will be considerably different from those of the 20th century. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Introspection and willingness to change is the mantra suggested by Professor Dr. Birmani to prepare for the future. May I now request Dr. Gangadharan to please come up on the podium and deliver the theme note of the conference.
Thank you. Good morning to all of you. I've come without any paper because I want to talk only in 2 minutes. One, I would like to acknowledge the most humble person here, Murali, who is a chairman of the chapter, who was responsible for bringing all of us together. It is his sheer perseverance that Hyderabad could host this conference. One. Two, thanks. The second is Dr. Karthikeyan, who also took the chance, because last year we were supposed to host the conference. For some reason it had to be cancelled, but he continued to bet on Hyderabad chapter. I'd like to acknowledge that for Karthikeyan for being with us. Thank you. It's not a word of thanks, but I really want to acknowledge. The third person is not my friend Nathan. Nathan was the one who became the chairman of the chapter one fine morning at my request. And I can tell you that 1 year he kept all of us running. And I can tell you that he's the biggest gift that he has given to us is Rajiv. I don't think any of us could have contributed anything more than having Rajiv with us, because I think the whole thing has been designed by him. We are very proud to be there. Kiran Mai is one person whom I personally involved in getting their membership 10 years ago. And I'm very proud that, the way she was talking about what she has done. And I remember this particular conference all was held in 2008 when we had the convention. At that point of time, it was on a different management. And that person I met was Mr. Ramalinga Raju. And I went and requested him that we want you to become the member of the ISTD. At that point of time, Head Kogan was the head of HR. So he immediately took me to Ramraj and introduced me, took me to Mr. Ramraj as well as Head Kogan. And this building was under construction when I met him. And then this was one of the very few conferences, and probably the first conference ever hosted was ISTD in 2007. So it's a nice memory back 10 years later, they are in the same place. So thanks Kiran Mai for taking all the initiative. Professor Veermani, I don't have to tell because I think the ISTD runs in him. The blood runs in him, the nerve runs in him. Everything for him is ISTD. You can say that 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, is part of us. I think we have put that together. And the young, dynamic Poonam. Poonam is always the go-to person. For everything we go to Poonam, and there are two people that we always go to. One is Poonam and second is Sushant. The reason I'm mentioning is not a word of thanks, but I want to know this conference could take place because all these people put in their efforts all by themselves. And as a past president of the ISTD, I always want to be very cautious that I don't interfere and give my comments. I give it only when they ask, otherwise I don't give. But when I see something going wrong, I will quietly tell Poonam, can you attend to this? Or I will tell Murali, can you attend to that? Because I don't want to become a political situation here. I think that we have hosted this conference thanks to every one of them. And I don't want to mention the names of other office bearers of the National Council and others because I will go out of the way to do that. But I like to thank you for thank you for being with us. Yes, it is the first time ISTD is hosting a conference without charging the delegate fee in the last 40 years of time. I think we have set a new trend, and the new trend for the national president, whether he's going to face the same problem next year, how is he going to do that? And I think we could do that thanks to particularly the Tech Mahindra for giving us this venue, and I'm sure next year onwards you will find several Tech Mahindras to support you. Thank you very much. Enjoy your 2 days in Hyderabad. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your very pithy, precise and compact address. I now request Dr. Karthikeyan, National President, ISTD, to kindly present the inaugural address.
Professor Veermani, Dr. Gangadharan, Dr. Kiran Mai, Dr. Murali, and the moving forces of this conference, not in the same order I'm giving you anyway. Rajiv, Sushant, Poonam, and whole lot of people who have made this possible. Thank you very much from the bottom of my heart, because I think I've been one of the luckiest international president to stand here and come as a guest and see a great show. Thank you for that. Quickly, I'm not going to talk about the theme. I think the hero is there waiting, like a player with pads ready. So I'll not steal the thunder. I'll not talk about future of work. Future is here now. So we will listen from him. But I'll do my official duty of inauguration. This is the third NatCon of my period. First happened like a first child. Like we were not ready, it happened. Before I could understand what it is already there. So I can't comment anything about it. Friends from Gurgaon, forgive me. Okay. Second was a crisis situation, thanks to Hyderabad for putting us there, and literally it was like a captain's knock. I had to get down and really play, and Sham Sundar, who is sitting there quietly, is a person and the entire team supported. Chennai has set a very big benchmark, and second and third time came, and there's a lot of logic, a lot of experience, a lot of requests. So he also went through a screening process. Hyderabad applied, and Professor Veermani personally said that this would be one of the best conferences. But let me be very candid or blunt by saying, when I came here, when the preparation was there and I came to the same place, I was not enjoying as much confidence that I had like this morning, because things were not so much ready. But in such a short spell, taking so much of radical decisions and bringing it, give a very big hand for all of them. I think it's a wonderful show. Having an Ariel, Muni, and beautiful sand art and a dance, they set a new benchmark. And I'm glad and happy we will learn from this newer and newer in benchmarks. I'm sure next year we will learn to see that how we can break this up. That's from my side. And especially Rajiv, who has been a kind of moving force. And personally, I thank for the pre-conference workshop, not for the idea, for leading it from the front. Sometimes when we leave the interpositions, we really perform better or when we move up. And I take a cue from you, what I should be doing when I step down, and because it was a very fabulous job. He has got it and in Hyderabad. And I can go on record by saying this one chapter, a lot of other chapters need to emulate, because a lot of things happen without noise and just by itself. I can be very straight, there's not, to me, invisible politics anywhere. That's the reason I said I came as a guest. Whatever happened, whatever kind words they said, I just take it humbly. Everything done by the team. I just go on record. Now, I'm also like you, would like to go other side and enjoy the whole thing. Only one statement which is kind of itching, and I want to say that future of work. In the past, we have been kind of valuing people and using machines. Now today we are talking in terms of valuing machines. So how we are going to value people too, and how we are going to integrate them. I'm all ears for all those dimensions. Excellent speaker lineup. It is not infrastructure, it is not hospitality, it is not cost. It is the speakers who make the conference. And I rate them number one. And you have a great speakers, and I'm like you, all others here, all ears to be and enjoy the occasion. Thank you very much. Good luck, Hyderabad.
Thank you, sir. Well, now is the moment that all of us have been waiting for. Mr. S.V. Nathan needs no introduction at this gathering. He's a storyteller par excellence and a very influential presence in the social media. Mr. Nathan has helped establish Deloitte as a top destination for talent in India. May I now invite Mr. S.V. Nathan to kindly present the keynote address of this conference.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
First of all, I want to thank Dr. Gangadharan. So, Dr. Gangadharan called me and he said, first promise me that you will say yes. Now, what kind of a promise is this? But some people you trust with your life. Doctors are one of them. So instinctively I said, yes, doc. Then he says, you've got to be on this day, this time. So I was scratching my head. I said, perhaps that night I'm going to be in Singapore. I'm not too sure, but I will. He says, nothing doing, you're going to be there. And here when I was sitting, I noticed that I was in a very august company. So you have a doctor, Kiran Mai, then there's another doctor, then by the side there is another doctor, there's another doctor, and then you have Dr. Virmani, and I don't know where Poonam has gone, but she's going to be a doctor in exactly 2 days.
Wow.
So I don't know where you are, Poonam. So Poonam is here. So Poonam, you're going to be a doctor in another. So that's Dr. Jindal, Dr. Poonam Jindal in exactly 2 days from now. So congratulations to you. So it kind of feels a little strange when you're sitting in front of all these people. You're asking yourself, my God, you're with all these people. What are you going to say, which has already been said? So one thing I want to say is, Dr. Kiranmai Pendyala has already stolen my thunder. So all whatever I wanted to say, she has said it. And if there's anything left, others have said it. So I have been told that a successful keynote is to have a great introduction, a memorable ending, both of them very close to each other, and with nothing in between. So I can promise you that this is going to be, I'm going to make a good account of myself. I will be brief for sure, no matter how long it takes. So with this, I just want to remind you about some details that have been missed in passing. Number one, for people who have come in from outside of Hyderabad, I want to tell you the greatest place on Mother Earth is Hyderabad. Greatest place on earth. I am from Chennai, I am from Bangalore, I work in Mumbai, I am from Nagpur, I am from Kolkata. Where am I truly from? Hyderabad. Hyderabad is a fantastic place. It's been one of the top 10 places, fastest growing places on earth. If you look at the top 10 cities, Hyderabad is out there. But if you talk in terms of intellectual capital, I guess it must be number one. Truly so. You don't have to look any further. Look at all these people out there. Really, this is an incredible conference. I've never been to any conference where the whole thing is absolutely free. This is incredible. So a special round of applause to people who even thought this out. All of you who are present here on a Saturday and a Sunday to spend your time here, a real special thank you. And with this, let me move on to something which is very, very important for us. I'm going to speak to you about three things. Work, workplace, workforce. Start with work. Do you all remember this? Many of us look at this and start to wonder, where have I seen this before? This is even more. I have got a few of them. One of them is the one that was given for my marriage. I kept it, I have preserved it. Of course, the task of now transcribing the whole thing onto disk and other is still on. This was another one, which is the floppy disk. But more importantly, this is something which is there, but this is also vanishing. You're looking at terabytes coming onto small chips. We live in a highly connected world. The value of currency is the one that is driving the economy today. But the currency of value is what this congregation is about. All of us, do you believe that you are influential? Say yes?
Yes.
Yes. I don't think there was your heart in it. I don't think you really believe you're influential. Do you really believe you're influential?
Yes.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. We are all very influential. By the way, how many of you want to listen to a story?
All of us.
Shameless people. All come to.
It's you, Nathan.
Okay. Okay, here is a story of a king. Now the king wanted to find out whether this is time for him to move on in his life and appoint his prince as the next king. So he asked the teacher. There's always a Zen master in the court. So he asked the Zen master, Master, is my prince ready to take on the kingdom and be the next king? So the king said, well, let me ask him a question. So he called the boy and he says, hey prince, go into the forest, spend 6 months, come back and tell me what you heard. Now in those days, nobody questions the Zen master. So the prince took his bag, off to the forest he went. Spent 6 months. After 6 months, there was a very confident looking boy, marched right up into the court. There was a darbar. He went straight up to the Zen master, touched his feet, and he says, Master, it is I, your prince, your next king. I am here. So he says, oh, prince, you're back. Gives him a warm hug and says, Prince, you went into the forest. Tell me what you heard. So the prince says, Master, I heard the sound of the river as it ran past. I heard the twigs as they broke when animals walked by. I heard the sound of the thunder. I heard the sound of the rains. I heard the sound of people as they were rushing hither. Master, I heard a lot of sounds of the mountains and the rocks as they tumbled. Master, this is what I heard. So the Zen master looks at him and he says, Prince, not enough. Go back into the forest, spend another 6 months, come back and tell me what you heard. So this time, again the prince doesn't protest. The queen mother is a little upset. The king is nonchalant. The prince takes his bag, off he goes. Spend 6 months. This time after 6 months, when he comes back, there is a very measured walk of a matted-haired gentleman as he walks into the darbar. Goes all the way to the Zen master, touches his feet, and he says, Master, it is I, and I have been in the forest for the last 6 months. Pray, tell me, what questions would you have for me? So the Zen master looks at him and says, Prince, you spent 6 months, tell me what you heard. So the prince says, Master, I heard the sound of the fragrance of flowers as they wafted through the air. I heard the sound of the dewdrops as they evaporated into thin air. I heard the sound of the rainbows as they struck Mother Earth. I heard the sound of the seedlings as they broke through. Master, I heard the sound of the thoughts of people as they walked past. Master, this is what I heard. As soon as he said this, the Zen master went up to him, gave him a big hug, looked at the king and says, My king, the prince is ready. He could be our next king. And the king was a little puzzled and he says, So Zen master, what happened? What happened in our presence? So the Zen master explains, says, 3 things have happened. 1, he has heard the unsaid. He has seen the unseen. And he has articulated the unarticulated. He has said things that people would never say. So part of what we are as influencers is perhaps to do with these 3 things. We are talking about work. We are talking about the currency of values. We are talking about what help people seek from us. We are living in a completely wired world. And today, we are looking at work not in terms of just these tankers, but we are looking at work in terms of what the drones could do. Today, even as I speak, all the traditional ways of accounting is gone. We send drones to check in warehouses the way things are happening out there. Data is different today. The way people are looking at data is different. And the way workforce is changing is again extremely different from what happened some time ago. Linda Grayton, of course, was the person who pointed to us in this direction. This is the new world. The way of evolution is partly this. One time, this is what we all wanted to do. If you have to achieve something in life, you climb alone. But today, anything that you do has to be in collaboration. You really have to work with others. You have to make sure that people understand what you say. And collaboration is a good word. Because in giving, you also receive. If this is all about artificial intelligence, then how do we work closely with robots? Professor Virmani talked very fondly about how this is going to be the wives are now going to be asking robots to prepare lunch and dinners, and what would they do? Professor Virmani, I want to tell you this. This happened to me 30 years ago. So if the wife wants something as breakfast, lunch and dinner, there was no robot, but certainly there was me. So the way people learn is different. You're looking at mobiles. Today, what is very different is learning on the go. Anytime, anywhere learning is a reality today. You don't have to sit behind desktops. This is what is required. Children learn very early in their lives. And this is really what happens even at a dinner table. And by the way, this could be learning, but this is what the social media has done to our own lives. And you could be in the thick of all of work, and yet we'll be in our own world together. Today, we don't fire people. Today, people fire us. Because if you're not working in an organization which looks for you to thrive, you need only three things. One, is it a learning environment? Is it a place where I can develop and grow? Is it looking at things which is the next big thing that could happen to me? And last, am I feeling connected with this place? If the answer to any of this is no, then employees fire us. Today, we have more women in the workforce. And I'm very, very happy to see a lot of women out here, because I'm sure 8 years ago, at this very place, whenever this was getting built, there was no idea that we would have so many women sitting out here. A little louder, please, a little louder. Thank you. I feel very strongly. I have a younger sister, and she has an IQ of 152. She's a Mensa member. She's incredible. And my father didn't have enough money to pay for her education in the top IIMs in the country. At that time, you couldn't even take loans. She went and joined State Bank of India as a clerk. Well, 30 years later, she's doing exceedingly well. She's very happy. Both her children have done well for themselves. But she always believes that she could give the best wherever she works. But looking outside today, we have the opportunity of bringing in more women into our workplace. But more importantly, what are we doing to make sure that they continue to learn? And even if they are in the family way, how do you make sure that they are connected and they continue to learn? Because that's going to be what is different about the workforce of tomorrow. What about the workplace? All these will still be around. This is something which got started in a garage years ago, and you know what has happened to the best organizations in the world. You cannot do without this, perhaps. That's what is morphing into what this is today. This kind of collaborative spaces are moving, and this is, you could work from any place. How nice it would be if you were working where you could have some kind of a work spot like this. In a very transparent world, where you could be the pawn, the king, the horse, the knight, the queen or the king. We really have to be thinking of what learning is about. What learning is about. Learning is not about just pulling real things very fast. Recognize there is a place for everyone. There is a parking place for everyone in all of this. Well, if you didn't keep up with technology, and this was something that got articulated some time ago, we would be in the back burner. We would be in the back burner. So, in bringing the whole thing together, a couple of things to say. In the workforce today, things are changing. You have artificial intelligence that is completely coming in. And we have to embrace it. 41% of companies have fully implemented or have made significant progress in using augmented workforce by adopting cognitive and AI technologies within their workforce. This is the reality. So how do we start to work and feel comfortable about it? I don't have to work, I don't have to go too far. Yesterday I happened to be in Singapore, and I was reading the newspaper very fondly of a column. 15 years ago, there was a friend of mine who started an organization called 24/7. It's an organization based in Bangalore, and NAG, or Nagarajan as he's called, Nagarajan and Kannan started this company, and they have moved ahead. Earlier, they used to have people who used to be taught English and in an American accent. Why? Because they had to serve clients elsewhere. Now I asked him, I said, how has this changed? He says, everything has changed because now we use bots. So what happened to these people? They are now trained. What are they trained to do? They are trained to see if there is annoyance in the language that flows between a bot and a recipient. And that's what we are doing today. By the way, this article was written by Thomas Friedman. And he says, in 15 years, this is the change that is happening here in India. And this is being reported out internationally. This is the change that we are seeing. So augmented workforce is not futuristic, it is here to stay. So what are the skills that we need? One, can we start to think? I mean, people talked about lateral thinking. I mean, thinking horizontally, and this is something that Professor Birmani also spoke about. How do we start to team in this new age? How do we start to let people know what our strengths are? I don't need to be the master of everything, but I just need to let people know what I'm good at and understand what others are good at so I can start to work together. They once told us many, many years ago, curiosity kills the cat. Not anymore. Curiosity is the one that's going to drive our work in a new environment. We are going to be looking at emotional intelligence. And it was said out here earlier, how can we start to work with machines and work with them in a way that we understand people? Nobody can understand people more than people ourselves. You know, all the AIs can do things like they can understand patterns and so on. But tell me, intuitively, when you move into a room, from just the conversations go on, forget the conversation, from the non-verbal behavior of people, do you not know the sense of what's happening in a room? We do. So, as much as AI is important, HI is also important. In fact, HI is more important than AI. HI is human intelligence. And human intelligence also is predicated by emotional intelligence, agility of just the learning that we have. Last but not the least, resilience. Never give up. This is something that we need. So what does it mean for talent development in the future? Many years ago, I remember there was a statement. I was watching an aquarium. An aquarium is a great place to go and meditate, as it were. I mean, you can look at the fish. And somebody made this comment to me. He said, what's the fish watching you, watching them? What's the fish watching you, watching them? For talent development, if you translate this whole thing, this is about what is the approach that you will have. If this is the future of work and design of jobs are going to change, how will you change the way talent development will evolve? What skills will have to be imparted today? And last but not the least, if the industry, the lines are going to blur, how will you make sure that you're ready for that? Recognize that today all our organizations have a bunch of people. We can go buy skills, but right now the people in our organizations are getting to be obsolete. So how do you make sure that they are in tune with what is happening today? The shift has got to be in the following areas. The what of leadership is from the what and how of development. Horizontal development will have to move to both horizontal as well as vertical development. So this is really the model of the T. We have heard this before. Earlier, HR owned development. Now each individual will have to own their development. Very fondly it was mentioned of a person who was fairly old, and he was in the audience saying, this is what I want to learn, and this is, people will start to look at you if you start to learn something yourself. If you start to learn something, others will ape you. Leadership resides in individual managers, not any longer collective leadership, and which is something which is spread across the network is what's going to change today. Last but not the least, how do you bring all this together? You have to do three things. First, align with what the business wants. 2, choose what your tools are, what your methods are. 3, how will you rejig, re-enable your talent development and its efficiencies. Your role models, you'll have to move. I was very happy to see that there was a workshop on design thinking, because that is what is really needed. From the siloed way, can we move to network, to more curious, holistic, agile, and innovative? And nice to see innovation which is all over the hall. Well, we are now going to be looking at, now is the time to own, or else from now here we will be nowhere. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Rama.
Thank you, sir. Collaboration is a good word. In giving, we receive. Nobody understands people as people. These are some of the axioms which are going to help carry us into the future as we march ahead. May I now request Dr. Karthikeyan, National President ISTD, to kindly present a small token of appreciation to Mr. S.V. Nathan.
Can we be louder, please?
I really love this. Plants are something that I love. Very nice of NatCon.
Just to add to that, we had planned for a bigger memento, sir, but the contributions or the budget of this memento has gone as contributions to Bharat Ke Veer. So this is entirely your contribution to the fund. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being a wonderful audience. We'll be breaking for tea in a while. A small announcement. We'll have a 10-minute break, and when I say 10 minutes, please go by the word 10 minutes because we are running short of time. After the tea break, we'll be starting our plenary sessions, and I really request you to be here back by 12:10 so that we can start our sessions on time.
देखो कितना सारा बॉल पे कलर रेड ब्लू ग्रीन